this second album was a long time coming. The album's called Fingers and Thumbs. It was so obvious because the image pops up in so many of the songs. A lot of the time it's to do with kids and tiny little hands. Little fingerprints all over the place. And there's been some difficult moments in my life over the last few years. It hasn't really been that pretty. It's actually been quite brutal. Well, we were trying to start a family and I had a couple of miscarriages. And it's not just in my life, you know, you don't really have to look that far outside your front door to see that the last 3 years have been pretty horrendous. It's been a really weird time to be living through, and it has those themes have crept in, I think, in little corners. You'll find them if you go looking. Recording the album was the exact opposite. It was fantastic. I started rehearsing up, getting ready for recording just as we found out we were pregnant. And I think I got the final mix through 2 days before she was born or something ridiculous. Yeah, it was just absolutely the gestation of the album and the gestation of Valentine were identical. I was touring in these really big venues, and I started writing songs that I wanted to belt to the back of these enormous rooms. I wanted them to be simpler and strong, you know, really chunky, strong songs. This time I really wanted to work with a producer. I'd worked on my own for Scissors, and I really wanted the benefit of somebody's ears on it and somebody's know-how on engineering. And I really wanted to share it this time with somebody else and to get that creative buzz that you get from working with someone else. You get all kinds of things that you wouldn't have done. You know, both of you end up doing stuff that you couldn't have done by yourself. So it was a really big mission for me to find a producer that I wanted to work with, and that took forever to find the right person. Come on, we're going back to the beginning. We took a wrong turn, and we take it to heart so easy. When you come home, I will be waiting by the fire, and we'll take it all back to the sky. I've been listening to a lot of 70s rock, like Neil Young and Janis Joplin and Free, and I really wanted to try and get that very live rock sound, actually, and that's why I wanted to go to work with Ken Nelson, because he'd worked with some brilliant people, and that's the kind of sound he was achieving over and over again. Actually, I'd heard it in other places, but he also knew how to do acoustic music, so I knew that he'd be sensitive to where I was coming from. Don't tell me it's a risk. The band is really important on this record. Shaking like a leaf in stormy weather. We rehearsed really hard before we went up, so we made sure we were really ready. Soldiers marching to the broken beats of my drum. And so when we got into the studio, it was amazing. We just were able to slap it down. I think it was the fastest record he's ever made or something. So. Right here, right now, I don't know how we kept it down for so long. Right here, right now, I don't know how to tell. We had an accidental photo shoot when I was 38 weeks pregnant. I wasn't really expecting any results, to be fair, but this photographer friend of mine turned up with a borrowed lighting rig one day and said, "Quick, we've got 45 minutes, can I take some pictures?" I was 38 weeks pregnant. I was just like, we're not going to get any photos out of this. But he did, you know, as with everything else, the music was like this too. It just happened right on at the moment. And so we just shot some in my house, and that was it. And that was the album cover. It was great. really proud. You know, I always love everything that I put out. I wouldn't put it out otherwise, but this is a really honest reflection of what I've been up to and what I've been feeling for the last few years. And that's all you can do, isn't it? You can just be honest. In your art, you have to be honest, otherwise it doesn't really ring true. And I think there's a lot of heart in the record.